Right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to talk about mastering social media in your dealership. My name is Kyla Grady, Senior Marketing Coordinator for Trader Interactive, and I'll be your webinar moderator today. Let's walk through some quick housekeeping before we begin. If you need to make any adjustments to your sound during this presentation, you'll see your audio controls in the webinar control panel. You have the option to toggle between using your computer audio or phone call if you need to change that, as well as adjust your microphone settings and volume. If you think of any questions throughout this presentation, enter them into the questions section of the control panel, and then when we get to the Q&A portion at the end, I'll be sure to answer your questions then. Also, we've created a Mastering Social Media in Your Dealership guidebook that contains the same information I'll present within this webinar. If you'd like to download the guidebook, click the Handouts dropdown and then click the Adobe file to download the PDF. This will also be available after the webinar if you'd like to access it later. So I'd like to introduce you to Simon Hesseltine, VP of Audience Growth at Trader Interactive. Simon's team is responsible for driving traffic and branding efforts to Trader Interactive's industry-leading sites. Simon has grown and led diverse, award-winning teams of professionals to new levels of success in a variety of highly competitive, fast-paced industries. He's a frequent speaker, trainer, and moderator at conferences around the world on a variety of marketing topics. We're thrilled to have him host today's webinar, and with that, I'll go ahead and pass the mic over to you, Simon.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Hello, everybody. No need to adjust your speakers. This is my actual accent. So I am excited to be here today to bring you insight and best practices for how you can master social media in your dealership. And I promise you it is easier than you might think. So in this webinar, we're going to take a deep dive into social media and hopefully make this marketing tool an easy and approachable tool you can use to grow your dealership, especially as we navigate our, let's call it a new normal. We'll start with just outlining the significance of social media and why this tool can be an invaluable part of your marketing mix. But because there's so many social media platforms out there, we're going to go through the majority of them so you can better understand which might be the right channel for you. We'll then get into the different kinds of content that you can post and how to capture high quality visuals that get engagement. And then I'll wrap it all up by talking about how you can manage and monitor the results of your efforts and hopefully leave a few minutes at the end for any questions you may have. So, all right, we'll get into this now. So what is the significance of these platforms and why do they play such a large part in both our personal lives and in our businesses? Well, today there are over 3.5 billion with a B social media users out there. Consumers spend an average of 3 hours a day on social media, but they're not just on this platform mindlessly browsing their way through cat memes and pictures of relatives. 54% of social browsers use social media to research products and services. That's more than half of users that are coming to social just to research and interact with brands. Companies rely on social media and that role has absolutely grown. In order to keep up with your competition, it's important that you have an active, engaging presence. Now, did you know that 71% of consumers who've had a positive experience with a brand on social media are likely to recommend that brand to their family and friends? And since your dealership is your brand, having a strong social presence should be a top priority for you. You could be just one shared post away from your next customer, your next sale. And the pandemic has only accelerated people's use of social media. Recent research shows that 51% of adults within the US are using social media at higher rates during the current situation, with people more hesitant to just run out to a store or visit a dealership. By presenting you and your brand through social media, it gives consumers a chance to interact with you before even reaching out or stopping by the store. Of course, building awareness is key when it comes to promoting any brand or business. So it's no surprise that almost half of local businesses said they depend on social media to generate brand awareness. And of course, you know who could be part of that number? Your competition. Give yourself competitive advantage by building your social media presence and using it effectively. This allows you to stay visible and relevant to both returning and new customers. By posting consistently on social media, and I will get into what that means later on in this presentation, you will have the power to be a recognizable voice in your industry and in your local community, keeping customers coming back for more. So that's great. Social media is important, but that doesn't make the task of setting it up and getting real engagement any easier. You could spend all this time setting up accounts, and if it generates no engagement, what's the point of it all? So let's start by looking at which social media platforms you should want to use. And of course, there are so many out there. You've got your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your TikTok, your Instagram, your Pinterest, your Twitter, your Snapchat. Choosing the right social media platform to sign your dealership up for can seem overwhelming. And how do you know which one is worth your time and which is going to make your life the easiest? It shouldn't take you an inordinate amount of time just to learn how to use the platform, just so you can begin to post and start engaging with customers. So luckily, there are only a few that you really should focus on when it comes to generating the most engagement with your consumers. And I'm going to take you, as I said, through those top used platforms by consumers. Now, you may think your demographic isn't on social media, so what's the point of trying to figure all this out? Well, you might want to think again about that. According to Forbes.com, 82% of boomers who use the internet have at least one social media account. And as our market continues to gray, it is important to engage younger audiences to fall in love with the power sports lifestyle, like so many have. And when we look at this breakdown here, we can see that boomers are using Facebook and YouTube the most. Same for the Gen X audiences, although obviously they're a little flip there. Gen X does differ from the older generation in that they round theirs out with Instagram as the top app they've got there. It also shows that they're more inclined to be on some of the newer platforms that come out. Millennials, of course, spend more time on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as they did grow up. They were the first generation that grew up with these platforms as they were becoming relevant. Now, Gen Z is known to have grown up with all of these platforms available to them. They tend to favor Instagram, YouTube, and very few use or even have a Facebook account. So depending on what demographic you're targeting, you can choose the marketing mix that makes the most sense to meet those goals. Maybe you're trying to retain the baby boomer, the Gen X's, and the millennials. So you go with that strong Facebook page and you upload video content on YouTube. Or if you're trying to expand out of your graying market and target that younger demographic, then start looking at Instagram. Maybe look more towards some of the Facebook stuff. I mean, it all kind of depends on what you're trying to do. And it all depends on your goals. Knowing those goals can help you better understand who your message will reach on those platforms and how you will best be able to engage with those different demographics. So, as you saw in the previous slide, Facebook is widely used from baby boomers down to the millennials. So if you decide to go with this platform, you've got a good chance of engaging with pretty much most demographics here. You probably already have a personal Facebook account yourself. So that will make it easier for you to know how to post and how to work the interface. It's a great platform to show off the features of a new model or do some behind the scenes looks at your dealership, show off some new incentives you might be running. You can also share customer testimonials. So other people browsing your page can get to know the experiences other customers have had with you. And of course, be sure to use the algorithm to your advantage. The news feed itself, and while this changes constantly, it has been fairly consistent that it favors video content over link shares and images. So if you're creating and posting walkthroughs of your units or clips of your units, they should perform well. And you will notice that with an increase in users as you're putting content like that out there. Now, again, video content is important for Facebook. Show off those features of a new model. Again, do those behind the scene videos that show what customers can expect in, say, your service department or even your finance office. You maybe want to show some kind of socially distant fun team building activity your team's doing. If you're doing potlucks, just show something that gives like a personality of your dealership. It really doesn't have to be complicated. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about video and how you can take advantage of that as we progress through this presentation. So you do want to know your target audience on this platform, and you've got to look at that cadence of how often you interact with them. When they come into your dealership, don't be afraid to show off. I mean, you could do things like a New Faces Friday and highlight someone that came in that week to purchase their new Power Sports unit. As with any platform, you want to make sure that you are looking at your analytics. The last thing we want you to do is come up with a great strategy and put it to work for it to yield no results. Your analytics will show you whether you are performing as you want to. Facebook itself has an analytics built into the platform that can help you understand the reach and the engagement on each of your posts, as well as the demographics of the people following your page. You want to figure out what's working and what isn't working and adjust so you're doing more of what's working and you're doing less of what isn't working. You've got to constantly be adjusting. And then, of course, there's YouTube. YouTube is another platform that is used across the generations. And the big advantage that YouTube has over other platforms, specifically over other video platforms, is that it's owned by Google. I mean, it is the second largest search engine. And not only is it used like a search engine by consumers doing their research, but when people go into Google and they search for, BMW R9T or BMW HP2 Sport or, how to change the tire or how to change the oil on my bike, the videos from YouTube are the ones that are more likely to show up in the Google results pages. So it's important that you post videos like these walkarounds or product reviews, how-tos, new feature highlights, or even comparison videos between makes and models over on YouTube. So, as with other platforms, YouTube is no different, and you want to have a consistent cadence to posting. When you post videos, you really want to make sure that you're being very specific with the keywords and tags you use in your uploads. You want to use those keywords in the titles of the videos that you're putting in there. You want to make the description of the video be engaging, but also contain some of those keywords. And if you can put a transcript of the video into YouTube, that is going to help the search engine understand the context and the content of your video and help you rank for those keywords that you're going for. Optimizing your YouTube uploads for search rankings is almost as important as optimizing your website. Again, a consistent theme is to post during peaks in traffic to YouTube. For most of you, posting at midnight means you're not going to get as many views as you would if you'd have posted during the times when your audience is out there. These videos don't need to be long, drawn-out movies. They could just be a few minutes or a few seconds, Sometimes that's all you need to get those views and get the message across. Videos under 2 minutes do generate the most views on YouTube. Make sure that your videos are absolutely optimized for mobile devices. The majority of views, the majority of searches, the majority of times people are looking on YouTube or Facebook, they're going to be doing that on a mobile device. It's been that way since for at least 10 years. So don't include a lot of small text. Don't do very cinematic views of a unit from 5 miles away. You want to make sure that people can see what you are trying to convey to them. So then let's look at Instagram. Instagram is, of course, solely media focused. You've got beautiful and picturesque images and videos of your units. And of course, Instagram, owned by Facebook. You want to put walkarounds of your inventory, photos of your customers, or even user-generated content, photos and videos taken by your customers. These are going to be the bread and butter of Instagram. Especially as we see people looking for thrills and escapism from being in lockdown at home, not being able to travel abroad. People's day-to-day routines right now, they really need this escapism. And power sports offers that thrill with the safety of remaining socially distant. Don't let the concept of beautiful images intimidate you. I mean, it is, again, a great platform to leverage your consumers. Ask them to share their content with you or tag you in their posts, and you can feature it on your page. Maybe you're just putting out a once-a-week post of our bikes in action, where you can show a great image of a group of friends 6 feet apart on their bikes, or UTVs going through the forest away from other people. Don't be limited by what you traditionally thought of social media on these platforms. Again, though, when it comes to Instagram, high quality images are key. Use your staff, your consumers, old and new, and tell a visual story of the power sports lifestyle and what an incredible experience it is. Take note of what gets the most engagement. If you see a particular type of post get a lot of likes, and that could be great visuals of a bike, it could be even just an inventory post, it's going to differ based on your dealership, based on your audience. But again, whatever's working, focus on those. And the ones that don't get the views, don't focus on those. It's pretty common sense. Your followers are going to tell you what they want, and you adjust to that. Social media, like many marketing tactics, cannot and will not be perfected overnight. And it takes time for you to get your flow right. Use hashtags on your post to appear in more searches and get discovered. People who don't know about you are going to search via hashtags. And if you show up for those hashtags, they're going to discover you that way. And there are plenty of great free resources for you to use in your hashtag research. There are sites like Hashtagify, Keyhole, and RiteTag. That's R-I-T-E tag. And again, these help you reach that broader audience. Think of someone who's looking to break out their day-to-day routine and seeking adventure. And they go on and search for that hashtag adventure. And there you are. That dirt bike that you're showcasing could be the perfect solution for them. So help paint that picture for them. As we've already discussed, social media is a very visual form of entertainment. People log on to look at images and videos for the escapism. So I can't stress this enough. It's important to ensure that you share and produce engaging content with your audience. If it's not engaging, why bother? Now I know what you're thinking. Content. Sure, I'll spend all day making sales, maintaining units, making sure my staff is productive, monitoring overhead costs, running an entire dealership, taking a breath, and then I'll squeeze in those extra minutes to write a 1,000 to 2,000 word essay on why someone should buy one of my motorbikes. But that's not what I'm saying here. Content covers a wide range of media types. It's not a term for just one kind. It's an umbrella term for a wide array of other types of media. Articles are only a small portion of what I'm talking about when I refer to content. And as we mentioned, going over best practices with main social media platforms, videos are actually what performs best on these platforms. So yes, you want to share articles on best practices, but you also want to share videos, contests, promotions, post your inventory, offer a giveaway, post fun polls, questions to your audience, and yeah, maybe the odd fun meme. You should have a diverse array of content to post to your audience to continue to keep them engaged with your brand. So when it does come to written articles, you want to make your content approachable. If you're thinking of a topic and as you're writing it, you're thinking, wow, this is a boring topic, you're probably going to bore your audience with it too. It's probably not going to be something they're going to be interested in. Be creative and share things that you're passionate about so your consumers can share their passion about it with you too. Remember, you are the power sports expert. Share your expertise with the world. Also, think about different angles you can take with content. I have a friend who's a chiropractor. He writes about the Super Bowl, but he doesn't write about it from the perspective of this is a sporting event. He writes about it from the perspective of these are the injuries that I frequently see with cheerleaders. These are the injuries that I frequently see with football players. Think about how you can tie in your expertise to a fresh look at something else. Your customers are going to benefit by you simply sharing your industry insight. So, think about a short blurb that you can come up with about maintenance, a how-to, caring for your inventory, or winterizing. Think about things as well that they don't just have to be timely for now. And obviously, if you're doing something like a comparison video between two different motorbikes, that might be more timely right now. But also think about those things that you can be putting out there as evergreen content, things that are going to be the same year after year after year. How to change your oil. There's lots of different things that you can put out there. Create digestible content that gets straight to the point. And don't be afraid to showcase your units while you're doing this. If you can't find the time to put together articles, get someone in who can. There are lots of freelance writers out there who are able to put together content on any topic you want for your business. Typically, it's low cost, and the content they create can be shared over and over again. But you will want to have some input because you are the subject matter experts. So here's an example of a few different articles shared on Facebook through our brand, Cycle Trader. We share top news in the industry, the 10 best motorcycles for new riders, safe riding during COVID, and how to on bleeding your brakes. These are all topics that you're experts in. Write out the top reasons, the steps, or a process, and just expand on each one. Let your consumers know when they come to buy a unit from you, they are dealing with experts. They're dealing with a knowledgeable staff. And always remember to check out your leading OEMs or other industry experts' social media pages and blogs. I mean, to blow our own trumpet here, we always have great content that you can share to your users, to your customers, to your followers. And even if you didn't write the original article, your customers are going to appreciate knowing that you have your finger on what's going on in the industry. Polls are another great example of fun content you can share with your followers. Kawasaki does a great job of sparking up debate and posing different models of their bikes and off-road vehicles side by side and letting their followers decide which is superior. This could be something you come up with weekly to keep your customers engaged and looking forward to every week. It's fun, and it doesn't always have to be power sports related. Pose the question of Should sandwiches be cut horizontally or diagonally? Or if a meal doesn't have meat, it's not a meal. Think about different things you can do to engage your customers. Obviously, this isn't going to be every post, but it is something fun to change it up. Facebook and Instagram both have options where you can customize these a bit more. You can add images, you can add the poll to your post. They're also a great way for you to do some customer research. Asking your followers if they prefer to ride in the spring or the summer might get you an idea of when people might be itching for their first bike or an upgrade. So don't be afraid to use it. And then, of course, you've got things like contests and giveaways. Now, we are not suggesting that you give away an actual bike like the Wick Moto did, unless that's something you really want to do. What we're saying is it's up to you. Go as small as doing a contest for a free t-shirt with your dealer name on it, or as big as a new helmet and riding gear. Host a contest for former customers only, where they have to post the pictures and other followers get to vote for the winner. The possibilities are endless, and all of them create a ton of fun content just with one small contest. And the prize doesn't have to be big. You could even partner with local businesses to help put together a prize package. This gives everyone in your community a chance to engage with consumers. Run them as frequently or as infrequently as you see fit. One thing to note here, though, make sure you look at the guidelines for the platform you are posting a contest on. Facebook, for example, has very strict guidelines on what you can and cannot do around contests, and they change frequently. So just make sure you do look at that before you go ahead. And of course, you're going to have your own promotions. Make sure you share your promotions on your social media pages. People are, again, going to your dealership. They're going to your social to get to know your dealership and to get to know your business. They're researching. They're trying to figure out, is this the place I want to get my next bike from? And if they know the kind of promos you run, when you run these promos and what the offerings are like, that can also maybe help them plan for when they're getting ready to come out there and buy that new motorcycle. And just like you would share your promotions, make sure you're sharing your actual units. Paint a picture in your post with a description that entices people to look closer and find a little more detail. Check out this new 2020 model, perfect way to escape and social distance from all your problems. By enticing your followers to follow the link to your site, you are also driving traffic to your site and your inventory listings, and ultimately leading them closer to a conversion. And that bike they click through may not be the one that they end up buying, but they're going to continue to look through the rest of your site. And that, again, that's going to help them identify what they may be looking for. So, I've mentioned this several times now, but one of the most engaging forms of content is video. A lot of these platforms are designed for and favor video. So it is very important to make sure you include them in your posting schedule. Now, I'm going to show you that videos should not be a pain point, but they can be an easy and inexpensive way to engage your audience. And I'm sure you're thinking inexpensive. I know the preconceived notion is it's going to take you too much time to produce, write, and direct an entire movie-style video. To hire the production company to take on this task is going to eat up all your budget for what could be little return. But when it comes to social media, smartphones have come so far in the last few years. The new iPhone shoots in 4K. So with a little practice, anyone can create professional looking content for those dealerships. And these videos can be so quick and short. There's no scripting or directing needed. In fact, the more authentic you are, the better. Obviously you want to take the time to learn a few tips and tricks to film on your own. It's going to make it worth it. But you want to take a look at how consumers are interacting with video content online. For example, did you know that 1/3 of online activity is spent watching videos? And users spend an average of 6 hours and 48 minutes a week watching videos online. And now people are watching videos even more during the whole COVID-19 situation. And with 85% of internet users in the US consuming video content on social, now's the time to step up your game. Video marketing is going to help you captivate your audience, engage your buyers, and increase your sales through social media. So not only are people dedicating a large amount of time to watching these videos online, but they're retaining the information better than if you were to share a textual article. 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual, and visuals are processed 60,000 times faster in the brain than text. So viewers wind up retaining 95% of a message when they watch it, compared to 10% when just reading it in text. And shooting and filming these videos, again, is a lot easier than you might think. Now, again, you might think that you need some high quality production equipment, but most phones have more than enough capability to film high quality videos. There's no need for fancy cameras, but you do want to make sure that you are using a newer phone that allows you to shoot in HD quality. You know, if you don't have the newest phone, check with some of your sales staff. If they're into the latest tech, they might even enjoy helping to film some content. You know, stay steady. If you're gonna be walking around the lot showing off inventory, I know it's gonna sound a bit, but a selfie stick does do wonders for walk around videos. Or you can get budget smartphone stabilizers over on Amazon or any other digital reseller that you prefer to use. We have those linked in the guidebook that Cal mentioned earlier. And you know, in many cases, this is going to be your customer's first impression of you. So make it count. Before you record, take a minute to listen to your surroundings. Is it windy? Is there traffic nearby? Children screaming? Are you in a busy showroom? You want to have as little background noise as possible so that your words can be clear and easy to hear. And practice does make perfect. It's okay to practice beforehand. Don't feel that you've got to get everything right in one take. Try not to use the filler words like, like, or as I've been doing during this presentation. So, yeah, if you're stumbling on your selling point, start over and make your delivery more smooth. If you play these videos back and you would buy from you, that's the goal. Let other folks on your team take a look at the videos, see what they think, let them give you feedback. With enough practice in front of the camera, the confidence will come naturally and you'll be successful. And not only are videos a great way to show off your dealership's personality, they're a great way to show off your expertise. Add value to your consumer's power sports experience by creating how-to videos on all aspects of buying and owning a bike or off-road vehicle. I mean, this allows you to appeal to both new riders and the most seasoned. You can also showcase product walkthroughs for different types of units you have available. As your consumers start conducting their initial research on a product, you'll gain traffic just from those looking for more information on your unit or even how-to videos. By taking some extra time to create these videos, you are connecting with your consumers in a whole new way. It provides an element of sound which can automatically make your customers feel as if they're getting to know you, especially when you leverage this to show off the personalities of your sales team. And your sales team should be really into this because it's another way for them to get in front of consumers. And you can guarantee there are going to be people who are going to be, oh, I saw you in the video. It provides that engaging content for your consumers and it humanizes the brand. Your goal is to cultivate relationships with your audience. After you create these videos, you upload them to your social channels where they can live forever. And you can cross-post them across your different social channels. So even a year from now, future customers are able to scroll through your videos and get a sense of your dealership's personality, which helps them to identify, is this someone I want to do business with? Someone I trust to buy a vehicle from, a bike from? Don't be afraid if your video goes on for a few minutes. People who are interested in the new engine, the mechanics, the details of how their new bike works, they'll appreciate the in-depth look. Again, we are in a time of social distancing. They might not be able to make it to your dealership to listen to you in person or to go through these details. I mean, the video I've got here is 23 minutes long, but it's almost at 100,000 views in just over 2 months. Sometimes what you're explaining needs a few extra minutes, and that's okay. And again, it doesn't always have to be power sports specific content. Remember, you want to show off your dealership's personality. So maybe it's your staff getting together on the latest social distancing dance trend and posting a video of it. Letting your followers, up to date on all the current trends. Or, if someone on your staff is musically gifted or wants to lift a bunch of tires, show off their skills. Add in some humor to highlight a promotion you've got going on. This dealership here, I mean, they showed off their morning workout lifting tires and showed that it was all for their tire promotion that they're currently doing. It's cute, it's fun, it's quirky, and it lets consumers know this dealership is easygoing and that they'll be friendly and funny in the buying process. Now let's get on to the topic of managing your social media accounts. You're going to want to, again, build out this whole strategy, but you do need to have somebody dedicated to actually implementing. Posting with no set plan and consistency in your messaging can lead to mixed messaging on your social pages. To help keep a uniform branding message, a uniform voice for your brand, there should ideally be one dedicated person. Throwing this onto someone's desk to handle sporadically is not going to work very well. Your dealership could end up with an identity crisis. Now, I understand that as a dealer, you've got 1 million daily tasks to take care of on any given day, along with those additional 5 million that show up throughout the rest of the day. So dedicating time to a social media strategy can seem daunting, when it might seem easy to just click and post when somebody in the dealership remembers to do so. But without any advanced planning, it's most likely going to be a waste of your time and your employees' time. So to understand who the best person is to dedicate their time to this, you're going to have to ask yourself a few questions. Look at what's currently on your plate. Can you add in creating social content? Or can your current marketing manager add this task onto their plate and balance another hat on their head? If your current team doesn't have the bandwidth, do you have the capital available to hire someone dedicated to this? Or maybe even an agency or a freelancer? Look up the average salary in your area for this position and see if that's something that you could meet. You can also think about hiring interns, but you do want to be careful about that because, again, this is a customer-facing role. And if you're throwing somebody who doesn't have the expertise, either in social or in your business, you are most likely going to see some stumbles there. And again, you might want to look to your sales team. If you have a member of the sales team who's particularly passionate about social and recognizes the fact that this could be a really good lead gen tool for them, they might jump at the chance to work on this. There is no one solution. It is personal to your dealership. So I can't give you an answer for who makes the most sense for your dealership. It's something that you are going to have to work out, but it is something that you do need to think about. So once you've got it all started, knowing who is managing your platforms, you've got to start out with that plan. It's going to make it less likely that you will fail and that you will succeed at this. One of the easiest ways to plan for posts on social is to create a schedule or a calendar for posting. Followers will look forward to seeing your regular posts. And of course, you can then tie that in with promotions that you have coming up. Planning for social media, it's meant to make your life easier. Create a schedule that you can handle, but keep in mind that while people are home, they're craving new content. Share those photos, those promotions, those videos, those articles, and make sure you are ready and flexible to adjust to new trends that emerge, but also make sure that you are flexible enough that should something be going on in the world, something bad, that you're not continuing to post during those times. You want to pull your social media back at that point. You don't want to be seen as being insensitive. So don't be stuck so tightly to a schedule that you miss out on authentic opportunities to engage with your audience, especially with things like, viral challenges. Don't miss out on opportunities like pick your ideal scenario, or posts about new norms, or viral memes like the Dolly Parton challenge, or even something like a national day and posting a fun photo. By taking advantage of these opportunities, you are creating relevant content that puts you at the top of searches and at the top of people's minds. Now, as a general rule of thumb, don't inundate your followers with too many posts. Now, what I'm going to recommend here is a baseline of 1 to 3 posts a week on Facebook, 1 to 2 on LinkedIn, 1 to 2 on Instagram, 1 to 2 videos a month on YouTube. That is not going to be the ideal cadence for your dealership. Your actual posting volumes are going to be different for your audience, but it's a starting cadence. Put it out and play with your posting schedule. You will figure out what works best. It may be that you're posting too much on Facebook. 5 posts a week, 3 posts a week may be too much. You may see that by reducing the amount of posts that you put out there, you actually get more engagement. So you're going to have to play with it. Also think about the time of day that you are pushing content out. In the current situation we're in, where folks are at home, they could be looking at things throughout the day whenever they're trying to take a break from work. But in a post-COVID world, are folks looking more at lunchtime? Are they looking directly after work? Are they looking on the weekends? In power sports, typically, we tend to see most of the biggest day for our traffic is Sundays. If you're only posting content during the week, you're missing out on the day when most people are actually looking. So monitor and adjust as you see that engagement. Now, there is a lot that goes into creating a social media persona, determining a brand voice. Just like you would with the video content I talked about earlier, you want to make sure that your posts convey your dealership's personality. So start to understand what your voice online will be and keep it consistent. Are you going to be sassy and funny when you're replying to comments? Are you just going to comment back with emojis? Will you post only with positivity and get really honest with your followers? You're going to find the voice, and some of this is going to be dependent on the person that you actually have managing your accounts. But that voice is going to ensure that it's contributing to your social media presence. And you're going to make sure that anybody that's posting out there is aware of that voice and what you are trying to showcase. And of course, as we continue to socially distance, many in-person events are cancelled or scaled back. So it's important to keep in mind that people are relying on social media for a sense of community. As you build your audience, you're building an audience of like-minded enthusiasts and professionals looking to connect with others on topics that interest them. Maybe there are business professionals looking to see how others are navigating their way through the current situation, or maybe it's first-time riders looking to get tips and best practice, best places to ride. Maybe you're looking through the page to connect with someone looking for their first motorcycle and a seasoned rider who knows the way around the unit. Whoever is managing your account should spark these conversations and connect and grow not only your social media following, but your customer base through these efforts. And as you build this community, you build a reputation. 92% of consumers believe recommendations from friends and family over all forms of advertising. The more referrals you can generate to your social media pages, the more likely you are to gain the trust of new consumers. Encouraging customers to leave these reviews and share their post tagging you is a great way to expand your reach. A post that mentions, I bought my first dirt bike at XYZ dealership and I'm loving it, is sometimes all the convincing a follower of theirs may need to also reach out and connect with you. Sharing your posts on how to care for your unit is also helps to spread awareness of your dealership and the expertise you provide your consumers. I mean, even when they are not currently looking to purchase a new unit, you're top of mind so that when they are ready to upgrade, you're there. And as important as people's close circle is to spreading the awareness of a brand, customers, especially the younger millennial generation and Gen Z, they're also quick to trust and value the opinions of complete strangers. 90% of consumers read online reviews before visiting a business, and 88% of those consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. Think about when you go out and buy something. If you don't know the product, more likely than not, you're going to click on that star rating. You're going to read what people say about it. You're going to see the issues anybody's had with it. So when it comes to your business, your units, it's important that you monitor and encourage positive reviews from your customers. Whatever you do, though, don't attempt to fake them. Of course, getting those reviews is easier said than done. In order to help jumpstart your reviews, there are lots of different ways that you can incentivize people. First, start with your sales staff who work close with the customers. At the end of every month, maybe you want to offer something like an incentive for the sales rep who gets the most reviews that mention their names. You can also go directly to your customers, offer a free tank of gas for anyone that leaves a review for the business. Also, just trust your sales process. Create an experience so wonderfully easy and enjoyable that people just feel compelled to leave that great review for your business. Have you ever had an interaction with a business that left you feeling like you want to shout about it from the roof? A lot of people feel like that and take right to reviews to broadcast that. You want to check your notifications, your comments, your private messages regularly, and you want to make sure to respond as soon as you see a message. Keep in mind that Facebook shows how quickly you respond directly on your business page, and first impressions are everything on social media. In these days, people expect to get a response, generally within one business day. If someone leaves a positive review, feel free to respond with a thank you or just a smiley face. But of course, we all know that for every 10 or 15 great reviews you get, you're going to get that one bad review that tarnishes your reputation. In a lot of cases, they may even be out of your control. Someone could have just been having a bad day. Plenty of people leave a business on good terms as well, only for that business owner to later see that they were left a one-star review. When you see that, you might think it's too late, but it's not. Don't be afraid to reach out to that person, to answer back to them. See if you can take it offline. Give them your phone number. Find out what the issue is. In many instances, you can actually find out what went wrong and fix it. And they can either then retract that review or leave another review that's more positive. Now, of course, there are occasions when you're just not going to be able to do anything. And in that case, you do have to learn when to walk away. But with those other good reviews that you're having created, they're going to push that one further down. Now, as you build and create this social media strategy, keep in mind what your ultimate goal is. Determine what your upfront goals are and how you're going to measure them. Social is meant to be fun and creative. Putting all that work in and not yielding successful results can be a waste of both your time as well as that of your staff. If your goal is awareness of your brand, focus on how far that your message is spreading. Measure your volume, your reach, your exposure when looking at your performance. If your goal is engagement, take note of how many people are participating and how often they're participating. Measure factors like shares, comments, replies, full video views, participants. If your ultimate goal is to drive traffic back to your website, ensuring you're sharing links and use URL share clicks and conversions to measure if you are reaching those goals. And after you've been at this social media strategy for a few months, determine what your benchmarks are. If you're looking for a benchmark start that's hard to determine or give generalized numbers, a conversion rate back to your website, a good one might be 1%. Again, it's going to vary on different factors, but a lot of times that traffic ultimately comes back later via direct traffic or organic search when they're ready to buy, because they know your name from the branding you have created around your dealership. And finally, don't let all this hard work go to waste. Watch your views, your engagement, and the messages received to your pages. If you use Google Analytics to monitor your site traffic, the best way to see how these videos drive return is by tagging the URLs you share in your posts with tracking codes. Google offers a free URL campaign builder to help you structure and track these different efforts. Also, make sure to routinely review your social media analytics, just like you would your dealership reporting, to see if your social strategy needs to be adjusted. If you set specific goals for your social channel, like growing your follower account or increasing inquiries by a certain percentage, use reporting to see how the results are stacking up against them. Are you succeeding? Are your followers engaging? And as you look at all of these numbers, your engagement level, your conversion rate, take the time to get to know your audience. Social media is a hugely undervalued resource for getting to know your customer, but it gives you a direct pathway to what they're truly interested in. You can see key audience demographics such as their gender and age, their location, their interests, their household income, their consumer behavior, times of day they're on the platform, and more. All this can help you to formulate a better overall business strategy, especially when you know the general parameters around your audience. So social media is worth investing in, and it's worth dedicating the time to learn and understand, to create a branding message with far reach. And to help your branding go even further, there are a few other products available to help you extend your reach. Hopefully, the tips and tricks we shared today have been enlightening and maybe something you haven't thought to try on your social page. But I'm going to take the last few minutes just to go over some other products you can try and maybe add into your mix if you feel that you have exhausted all your organic social options at this point. So one of the best parts about social media is how cost effective your efforts can be. Your monthly spend can be $100, and you can ensure your messaging reaches beyond your followers. You can do things like boosting and sponsoring your posts and campaigns. And again, with the demographic targeting you can do, you can target very specific audiences when you're doing this boosting and sponsoring. For example, if your dealership is having a sale or a promotion, you can boost the post and increase that reach. And it doesn't have to cost the earth. A little can go a long way. So if you've got a promotion you're running or an incentive, it's something like $5 can be used to boost it. And it's going to reach people who don't follow your account, but they are similar to the people who do follow your account, to your audience base. And that's also going to help ensure that your current followers see the post, because it will be showing at the top of their feeds. Now, another helpful tool you can use to create a more dynamic social media strategy is Facebook Business Manager. It's a place you can host multiple business accounts, billing information, pixels, data sources. You can set up customer conversions and audience insights here that you wouldn't have access to through a regular Facebook account. Another great feature of this is it lets you grant access and control over which employees can edit and post your accounts. This can be helpful if you decide to have multiple people contributing to the overall message, or if you've got multiple dealership accounts. Another feature you gain access to through Facebook Business Manager is creating custom audiences. And creating these custom audiences allows you to take advantage of Facebook lookalike audiences. Let's say I want my message to reach people like the profiles that have already acted, like this consumer audience I have created. This feature can only be used with Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, but it takes a pre-existing list you already have, let's say your current email or consumer list, and cross-references it in Facebook and searches for other profiles similar to those emails you have uploaded. You can also create these lists in your business manager by separating those that interact with certain types of videos. For example, it's a great tool if you're trying to grow your service department. You can start to collect the emails of those that interact with your service posts and then create a lookalike audience and expand your reach out to others who might be in need of servicing on their unit. The caveat is these emails you upload do need to be linked to their Facebook accounts. So if it's someone's work email and their Facebook is registered to a personal email, these emails will not yield any results. Regardless, it's a great tool to utilize in expanding your reach. Although a tool that does require more spend, and you want to jump one more slide, please. Social retargeting is another great tool you can utilize to reach consumers who may be interested in your inventory. Retargeting is a form of online advertising that is based on a consumer's previous internet action or online behavior. Retargeting is valuable because, unlike traditional advertising that displays to a broad audience, retargeting allows you to focus your ad spend on consumers you already know have some degree of interest in your product or service. Think about when you go and view a product somewhere, such as Home Depot. You'll look at some tools there, then you go to another site, and ads for that tool you were just looking at follow you everywhere. There are different types of these retargeting ads depending on what your goal is. Third parties can help you set these up based on what your goal is. And of course, if this all seems too overwhelming for you to take in on your own dealership, you might want to factor in the benefits of hiring a third-party site to manage your platforms. Of course, there are major advantages to going alone. When you're doing it yourself, there's little to no cost to posts. You can develop your own flow slowly and organically. But again, with those millions of things that you're doing, the burden can sometimes be too great, and you just might not have the resources available to dedicate the time needed to do it. Third parties can ensure you develop a consistent posting schedule, help you not to feel overwhelmed, and it saves your staff time. Many third parties will also include data and analytics and reporting in their packaging, so that's taken care of. The downside, these services can be expensive, and they may still require you to create a lot of the content they need to post. If they're not a local freelancer who can help you on site, you're still going to be the subject matter expert. So in conclusion, social media has become an important part of the buying process, with consumers heavily relying on companies' social pages to get a sense of who this business is and what it's going to be like to work with them. The pandemic has only accelerated this reliance, with people having to choose when and how many times they can leave the house every week. This is also very popular among the millennial audiences, if this is who you're trying to target. And to reach this audience on social, you don't have to have a profile on every platform available, although I would recommend you at least reserve your name on all the platforms so somebody else doesn't jump in and pretend to be you, especially a disgruntled customer. Find the one or the few that you can manage and that your customers are actively using. And then share with them your content. And again, not just the articles, the fun polls, the contests, the promotions, to really create engagement with them. And let's not forget that whole thing about video. Viewers retaining 95% of a message when they watch it in video, compared to the 10% of reading it on text. And lastly, remember, you need a dedicated member of your team to manage, monitor, and post to ensure that your brand voice, your brand message is consistent. So I hope that this has been useful for you today and that you've enjoyed this and that you feel like that it is at least more attainable within your dealership. We do like to practice what we preach. So feel free to follow us on our social media channels if you want to get more tips and tricks of the trade. We do also share influencer and industry content that you can borrow and post over on your social media sites as well. And if you're interested in learning more about reaching customers through social media and other marketing channels, both during and after COVID-19, we have created virtual retailing resource centers. These resource centers include guides, trend reports, videos, and articles, all aiming to help you and your dealership cope with these turbulent times. They're over on cycletradermediakit.com, where you can learn more. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Kyle for the 1 minute we have left for Q&A.
All right, we appreciate everyone logging in for today's webinar. It kind of looks like we're close to the end of our time and won't be able to answer any questions that have come into the chat, but we did address a lot of those kind of earlier. So definitely download the handbook or rewatch the webinar that we will send you. So thank you all again for being part of this webinar. Feel free to reach out to us at marketing@traderinteractive.com. We're happy to hear feedback on this webinar and other topics you would like us to cover, answer any additional questions you have surrounding the current economic state, and help you perfect your social strategy during these times and beyond. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe and take care.
Thank you all.